Hi, I'm going to present the work I'm doing and I will do for my PhD thesis. Basically, the main goal is to precisely determine the dark matter distribution in the Milky Way, and particularly the local dark matter density, with its corresponding uncertainties. In order to do so, we are going to study two effects that affect the dark distribution in the Milky Way. One is the asphericity and the other one is the adiabatic contraction induced by baryons. I'm not going to spend time telling you why this is important because it's clear from Nassim and Le Francesca lectures that precisely knowing the dark matter distribution in the Milky Way is important for direct and indirect searches. So, how we're going to do this? Well, we are going to accomplish our goals by comparing the observed rotation curve with that expected by the distribution of baryons. We are going to use, or we use dynamical traces of the total gravitational potential, and we compare the observed rotation velocities with that expected by with the motion of expected by the effect of the gravity of visible light. There are two methodologies to determine the local dark matter density. The one I'm using is called global methods, and then Hamish is going to talk about other methods, the other method. So here you can see a schematic picture of the Milky Way. We are sitting in the galactic plane at 8 kiloparsec from the galactic center. Given our position in the Milky Way, model the contribution of stars and gas that to the total mass of the Milky Way has historically been an important task, especially in the inner regions of the galaxy. So, to model the baryonic distribution of our galaxy and based on observations, we are going to decompose the baryonic distribution in three main components: a galactic bulge, a stellar disk, and the gas. No? Okay. For each of these components, stellar bulge, disk, and gas, we are going to use a model-based density profiles from the literature. So we're going to use a compilation of model-based profiles. This compilation encodes the three-dimensional morphology of the Milky Way. So here, it's important to notice that the bulge and these models have a dependence on a normalized density. So in order to calibrate each bulge density profile, we are going to use microlensing measurements toward the galactic center. And on the other hand, the disks are going to be normalized by means of the total stellar surface density at the solar neighborhood. So once you have the density profiles, you need to derive the gravitational potential associated to its model. So for the bulges and the gas, we're going to use an expansion in multiples, and on the other hand, for the disk, we're going to use other techniques like using Bessel functions, for example. So once you have your gravitational potential, it's quite straightforward to obtain the rotation velocities. So here you can see a compilation, a combination of all these possible models. We have one model for the, so don't look at this, it's a mess. So here is the rotation velocity in the y-axis, and in the x-axis we have the galactocentric distance to the galactocentric distance, which is this distance to the center of the galaxy. So here we have one model for the gas. We have 5 different models for the disk, which corresponds to each color here in the plot, and we have 6 different models for the bulge. These 6 different models encode different configurations of the galactic center. We can better see this if we zoom in the inner 2 kiloparsec of the galaxy. So we have the baryonic rotation curve for the observed rotation curve, we are going to use an up-to-date compilation of rotation curve measurements. I'm using this compilation made by Fabio, who is here. Sorry. Fabio, Miguel, and Gianfranco. And that's it. So here you see the compilation of observed rotation curves and the baryonic rotation curve for a fiducial model. So from here it's clear what we have learned last week, that at the galactic scale, the rotation curve of spiral galaxies is an evidence of dark matter, because you can see here that the baryonic distribution, which trace the baryonic rotation velocities, which trace the visible gravitational potential, cannot account for the total rotation, for the observed rotation curve, which traces the total gravitational potential. I don't know if it's clear. So, in order to fill this gap between observations and expectations, we introduce dark matter. So, first of all, we assume a spherical symmetry. In this sense, we are going to use two different density profiles, both of them inspired by numerical simulations. We have the Einstein profile and the generalized Navarro-Freck profile. Both of them also have three free parameters, and one of these free parameters is the local dark matter density. So here you have the scale density, but it's the same as local dark matter density. So we will expand our analysis to non-classical scenarios where the dark matter distribution departures from spherical symmetry, and we are going to study the asphericity of the Milky Way. Why we are going to do this? Because recent simulations pointed out that the actual dark matter density in the solar neighborhood could be 21% larger than the actual values derived from classical dynamical measurements, which assume spherical symmetry. Finally, baryons enter in the game. Until now, I have only talked about density profiles which have been inspired by numerical simulations, where only dark matter is taken into account. But we know that galaxies are more than dark matter, so we need to look what baryons make. So in the hierarchical structure formation model, stars form in the condensations of cooling baryons at the center of the galaxy. So as the baryons condense in the center of the galaxy, they pull the dark matter particles, increasing its density. So we want to study the effect on the global dark matter shape induced by the baryonic gravitational potential. So we are going to do this first using the adiabatic contraction model, which is a schedule which you can see here, more or less. And we want to also explore more fancy profiles like this DC14 halo model, which was introduced by Fabio Monday, I think. And this profile is inspired by hydrodynamical simulations. Apart from dark matter, they introduce baryons. And I understand that the important feature of this profile is that it has independence on the ratio between the stellar mass and the halo mass of the galaxy. So in this profile you have three different slopes, gamma and beta, which are the inner and outer logarithmic slopes of the profile, and alpha, which is the transition between the inner slope gamma and the outer slope beta. So these three slopes are not free parameters, they are functions of the ratio between the stellar mass and the halo mass of the galaxy. So finally, I think you can have more questions than one. Here I leave you here with my summary.